From translation, Net New English Translation. This 83rd day of the year. Today we are reading passages, Judges 16 to 18. Judges chapter 16, verses 1 to 31. Once Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute, and he went in to sleep with her. The men of Gaza were told, "Samson has come here," so they surrounded the place and waited in ambush for him all night at the city gate. They kept quiet all night, thinking, "Let us wait until the morning light. Then we will kill him." But Samson lay there only until the middle of the night. Then he got up, seized the doors of the city gate along with the 2 gateposts, tore them up, barred the gates, crossbars and all, and put them on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill that overlooks Hebron. After this he fell in love with a woman named Delilah in the valley of Sorek. The rulers of the Philistines went to her and said, "Coax him to tell you what makes him so strong, and how we can subdue him and tie him up securely. Then each of us will give you 1,100 silver pieces." So Delilah said to Samson, "Tell me what makes you so strong, and how you could be tied up securely and be subdued." Samson said to her, "If they tie me up with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, then I will become weak and be like any other man." Then the rulers of the Philistines brought Delilah 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, and she tied him up with them. But she had men waiting in an inner chamber. She said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." He snapped the bowstrings as if they were a thread that had been burned in a fire, and his strength was not discovered. Delilah said to Samson, "You have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you could be tied up securely." He said to her, "If they tie me up tightly with new ropes that have never been used, then I will become weak and be like any other man." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him up with them. Then she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he snapped the ropes from his arms like a thread. Delilah said to Samson, "You have mocked me and told me lies. Now please tell me how you could be tied up securely." He said to her, "If you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with the pin, then I will become weak and be like any other man." While she was sleeping on the bed at night, Delilah took the 7 braids of his head and wove them into the fabric on the loom and tightened them with the pin. Then she said to him, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he awoke from his sleep and pulled out the pin of the loom, along with the fabric. Finally, Delilah said to Samson, "How long will you go on tormenting me? Tell me how you could be tied up securely." He told her all that was in his heart, saying, "A razor has never come upon my head, for I have been a Nazirite to God from my mother's womb. If I am shaved, my strength will leave me, and I will become weak and be like any other man." When Delilah saw that he had told her all that was in his heart, she sent word to the rulers of the Philistines, "Come up again, for he has told me all that is in his heart." So the rulers of the Philistines came up to her and brought the money in their hands. She made him sleep on her lap and then called for a man to shave off the 7 braids of his head. Then she began to subdue him, and his strength left him. Then she said, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." But he awoke from his sleep and said, "I will go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seized him and gouged out his eyes. They brought him down to Gaza and bound him in bronze chains, and he became a grinder in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow back after it had been shaved. The rulers of the Philistines assembled to offer a great sacrifice to their god Dagon, and they celebrated. They said, "Our God has handed over to us our enemy Samson." When the people saw him, they praised their God, saying, "Our God has handed over to us our enemy who destroyed our land and multiplied our dead." Now when they were in high spirits, they said, "Call for Samson so that he can entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. They made him stand between the pillars. Samson said to the young man who was holding his hand, "Let me feel the pillars that the temple is built on, so that I can lean against them." Now the temple was full of men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and about 3,000 men and women were on the roof watching while Samson performed. Then Samson called to the Lord, "Master, Lord, remember me. Strengthen me just this once, God, so I can get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Samson grasped the 2 middle pillars that supported the temple, and he leaned against them, with one pillar on his right and the other on his left. Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." He pushed hard, and the temple collapsed on the rulers and all the people in it. He killed many more in his death than he had killed during his life. His brothers and his father's whole household came down to get him. They brought him back and buried him between Zorah and Eshtal in the tomb of Manoah his father. He had led Israel for 20 years. Judges chapter 17, verses 1 to 13. Now there was a man from the hill country of Ephraim whose name was Micah. He said to his mother, "The 1,100 silver pieces that were taken from you, about which you uttered a curse and also spoke to me in my hearing, look, the silver is with me." I took it, but his mother said, "My son, may the Lord bless you." He returned the 1,100 silver pieces to his mother. Then his mother said, I dedicate the silver to the Lord for my son, to make an image of a god, so I can give it to him. When he returned the silver to his mother took 200 silver pieces and gave them to a silversmith. He made it into an image of a god, which was placed in Micah's house. Now the man Micah had a shrine, and he made an ephod and some household idols, and appointed one of his sons to be his personal priest. In those days Israel had no king. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. There was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah of the family of Judah, who was a Levite. Now this man was living as a resident alien in the territory of Judah. The man left the town of Bethlehem in Judah to live wherever he could find a place. He came to the hill country of Ephraim and to Micah's house. Micah asked him, Where are you from? He replied, I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I am looking for a place to live. Micah said to him, Stay with me and be a father and priest to me, and I will give you 10 silver pieces a year, a change of clothes and your food. The Levite agreed to stay with the man, and the young man became like one of his sons to him. So Micah installed the Levite as his priest, and he lived in Micah's house. Micah said, Now I know that the Lord will prosper me, for I have a Levite as my priest. Judges chapter 18, verses 1 to 31. In those days Israel had no king. In those days the tribe of the Danites was looking for a territory to occupy for themselves, because up to that time no territory among the tribes of Israel had been allotted to them as an inheritance. The Danites sent 5 men from their whole number from the region of Zorah and Eshtaol to spy out the land and explore it. They said to them, Go, explore the land. They came to the hill country of Ephraim to the house of Micah and spent the night there. When they were near Micah's house, they recognized the voice of the young Levite. So they went over to him and said to him, Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What's your business here? He told them, This is how Micah treats me, and he has hired me and I am his priest. They said to him, Please inquire of God that we may know whether our journey will be successful. The priest told them, Go in peace. Your journey is guided by the presence of the Lord. The 5 men left and came to Laish and saw the people who were there, how they lived in security according to the custom of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting, and lacking nothing in the land and possessing wealth. Furthermore, they lived a long way from the Sidonians and had no dealings with anyone. When the spies returned to Zorah and Eshtaol, their relatives asked them, What did you find? They said, Get up, let's go up against them. For we have seen the land, and it is very good. Why are you waiting? Don't delay going there and take possession of it. When you arrive, you will find an unsuspecting people. The land is extensive, for God has handed it into your hands, a place where there is no lack of anything in the land. From there they went on to the hill country of Ephraim and came to Micah's house. The 600 Danites, armed with their weapons of war, stood at the entrance to the gate. The 5 men who had spied out the land went up and entered there, and took the carved image, the ephod, the household idols, and the molten image, while the priest was standing by the entrance to the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. When the 5 men came to the house and entered it, they took the carved image, the ephod, the household idols, and the molten image, while the priest stood by the entrance to the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. When the 600 armed men from the Danites went up and stood at the entrance to the gate, the men who were in the house with the carved image became angry and grabbed the priest and the priest's family and cut off his hands and feet, and then threw him into the cistern that was beside the house. Then they took what Micah had made and his priest and went on their way. When the 5 men who had spied out the land returned and entered the house with the carved image and the ephod and household idols, the priest stood by the entrance to the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. When these went into Micah's house and took the carved image, the ephod, the household idols, and the molten image, the priest said to them, What are you doing? The men said to him, Be quiet, put your hand over your mouth and come with us. You will be a father and priest for us. Is it better for you to be a priest for the house of one man, or for you to be a priest for a tribe and clan in Israel? The priest was happy to go with them. He took the ephod, the household idols, and the carved image, and went along with the people. They turned and went on their way, putting the children, livestock, and the valuables in front of them. When they had gone some distance from Micah's house, the men who were in houses near Micah's house were assembled and overtook the Danites. They called out to the Danites, who turned around and said to Micah, What's the matter with you, that you have assembled these men? He replied, You have taken away my gods which I made and the priest, and you have gone away. Now what more do I have? How can you ask, What's the matter with you? The Danites said to him, Don't talk like a fool, or we will attack you, and then you and your house will be destroyed. Then the Danites went on their way, and Micah saw that they were too strong for him, so he turned and went back home. They took what Micah had made and his priest, and went on to Laish, to a people who were living in security and unsuspecting. They struck them with the sword and burned down their city. There was no one to rescue them, because it was a long way from Sidon, and they had no allies nearby. It was in the valley that belongs to Beit Rehob. The Danites rebuilt the city and settled in it. They named it Dan after their ancestor Dan, who was born to Israel. The city's former name was Laish. The Danites set up the carved image for themselves, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, and his sons were priests for the tribe of the Danites until the time of the exile from the land. So they kept Micah's carved image as long as the house of God was in Shiloh.